Today I have the pleasure of doing a wet lash style. And wet lash is a volume lash set. If you're unfamiliar with it, it is like growing in popularity like crazy right now. So this video is all about bringing a wet lash style to life. I'm gonna show you how I make wet lashes, but before we get started, products are so important. So let's just quickly look at the products that I'm using. Here's a little shot of all of those. I'm not gonna go crazy into exactly how I'm using all of the products at this exact second, but if you wanna skip through different sections of this video, you'll notice that there's timestamps. If you wanna watch me cleanse, go ahead and do so, just click that timestamp. If you wanna watch me prime, all that good stuff, but if you're here for just the wet lashes and the whole application process, then you can go ahead and skip right to the application. Now to create wet lashes, we want the tips to stay fairly closed. So I am gonna use Foreplay for its original purpose, but as an added bonus, it also helps make wet lashes much more achievable. So here's what I do. I just dip a micro swab in there. You're gonna wanna make sure you get rid of the excess product because if you put too much on there, it'll literally knock lashes off the strip. So what Foreplay is intended to do is just to go across that base of the extension. So I'm going to do that on all my strips. And that's going to combat humidity fluctuations. And it's also going to help any handmade fans release easier from the strips, or classics as well. So I'm going to do that first, but get this. It's also used for creating wet lashes. So you know how normally when you're doing handmade fans, you'll like brush through the fans to make sure that they're all kind of separated? Well, we're doing the opposite of that today. We want them to stay together. So we're gonna kind of get them a little bit wet with the Foreplay product. And that's gonna help keep those lashes together at the tips. A really fun product. Guys, if you don't offer wet lashes yet, you should definitely give it a whirl. We also have a tutorial on Instagram as well at Lost Artistry Lash. You can definitely reach out to us and we can send you the link to that if you want. But wet lashes are, like I said, growing in popularity big time, so it's a really great thing to offer. People are loving it. If you stick around to the end of this video, I'm gonna offer something exclusive, a little promo. And I'm also going to be sharing this crazy detailed map. So throughout the video, I'm gonna talk about a little bit about direction, why I use certain directions in certain areas, and how I smoothly transition from section to section direction-wise. I'm also mixing some curls. So if you look at my map, you can see I'm working with C curl, CC curl, and D curl. The reason why I'm doing that is because I like to emphasize certain areas. Let's say the outer corner of the eye, how it slowly starts descending downward. We want to lift that area up, especially for, let's say, a cat eye style set. It's really important that we use the right curls, the right lengths, and the right direction in order to bring that to life, because we've all had a moment where we've done a set of lashes, we've put our longest lengths all the way toward the outer corner, and the client opens up. Even though it looks so good with the eyes closed, the client opens up and we're like, what in the, what? This doesn't look anything like what I had imagined. So that comes down to mapping, which is another video. We already made that video for this set, and that's gonna talk about how I map with my eyes open. So go ahead and click this little white box right here. You're gonna open that up in another tab, and then you can go check and see how I map out and draw my mapping and plan my mapping for every single set. It's such a great video. It's all about mapping with the eyes open. So if you don't already do that, you are going to love that video. And for many more details like that, we do have styling courses. We have tons of online trainings. You can check all that out at lostartistrylash.com. So for this set, again, working with those wet lashes. So wet lashes are a spin-off of classics and volume. They're mixed together. So we're closing our volume fans to make them look somewhat like a classic, but it just can't be replicated using classic lashes. It's honestly not possible. Today I'm working with 0.05 diameter volume lashes, but you can absolutely use 0.03s or 0.07s depending on where you're at in your lash journey and what you feel comfortable using. And I am going for a crazy amount of texture in this set. So usually even when I feather lengths throughout any lash set, I'll do say like 2 millimeters shorter in each section, but today I'm going for at least 4 millimeters shorter mixed throughout my sections. And because I don't have any time limits today, I'm gonna work from outer and inner corner to middle. I'm not going all throughout the entire eye at the same time. I do that for most sets, but today again, because I don't have any time limits and I really want to put focus on direction, I am working from the inner and outer corner, meeting in the middle. I'll still work from eye to eye just for balance purposes, but I'm breaking my rules a little bit today. I also find the inner and outer corner to be really quite difficult, so I don't like leaving those till the end. I like just getting them done sometimes in the beginning, because that section of the eye, the inner and outer corners, they're usually more fine, which poses some challenges, but also they're so important. I find when I don't get all the way to the inner or outer corner, the set just doesn't look as complete. So those inner and outer corners are so important. And I almost always find that I have to direct up, not out, on the outer corner for like 99% of my clients, unless they have a really upturned eye shape, which is super uncommon. Actually, Rebecca today does have quite an upturned eye on the outer corner, but given that her eyes are so rounded everywhere else, we still have to take caution on those outer corners. So I usually like to work in layers, even if my mapping doesn't necessarily require layering techniques, only because I find it so much easier to lash that way. So what I'm gonna do is take a Lost Artistry standard eye pad. I'm gonna hug the lash line with that. Really important to hug the lash line and make sure there's no gaps between there. I'm gonna do that on both eyes. This helps with fluttery eyes as well. Take your tweezers and you're gonna release just a few lashes along that lash line. I can still see my map underneath. You can release as many as you want. I like to only release a few at a time because, well, it's kind of fun that way. Then I don't have to isolate as much either because the lashes are kind of isolated for me. This is especially good for blonde clients because sometimes they have tricky little lashes. So when you're making your fans, make sure that you have a volume tweezer. Even though this looks like a classic, it's actually Lost Artistry's J-curve tweezer. It is a volume tweezer. And you want to find your sweet spot. Your sweet spot is where your tweezer closes 100% of the way, and that is your sweet spot. So it's somewhere in there. Just because it closes all the way doesn't mean that your particular sweet spot is going to be the same as mine, or that it's going to be in any particular area along that closed bit of your tweezer, but it's up to you to find it, but it will be somewhere within there. So now when I'm picking up, I'm going to come in right along the strip at, we'll say a 90-degree or perpendicular with the last strip. I'm going to grab the bundle that I want, find that sweet spot, use 100% pressure, and release from the strip. Dip in my adhesive about 1 to 2 millimeters, and then you're going to place. Now, if you're finding it really hard to pick up, just as I have shown, then you can pick up closer to the tips. That also helps with creating wet lashes. Now, your base will probably come out like this. That's okay, because watch this. When you dip, check it out, the base comes together. You can also crystallize these fans, have them ready for use, and then you can just pick up and lay them if you're learning. And you can direct them just as you do any sort of classic lash, because they do really closely resemble a classic lash application. And if you're really struggling at making the fans, you can grip close to the base, release almost all the way without fully. Then you can grip closer to the top and release. Now that helps so much because it is hard to get your tweezer around that lash that you've isolated when your tweezer is close to the base. So that is a huge hack that I find really, really helpful. Now again, dip the first couple millimeters into your adhesive. Make sure you're using the right adhesive for you. If this is a new technique to you, you're gonna want a slower cure time glue, such as Invisibond or Sensitize. Those are so great. They offer just enough wiggle room. Don't be so eager to go for a 1 second cure time glue, because if you're not ready for it, it's gonna slow you down, not speed you up. Again, release just a little bit. Come a little bit closer to those tips. Release fully.